That's gotta be this one. Somebody else is like one thing. This Johnson. Yeah, it was a long wait. I was out of brighter, but I need a second. I mean, I'm not getting a bus. Yeah. Oh. Okay. But we can approve I understand. Okay. So why can't you show me yeah, oh, I know, right? Oh, I just didn't know if it because we programming. Is that what we need? I was just reading it.
Until I feel something, then it becomes a person finally right.
So I have a question.
Sad.
About 16, 17,
Yeah. Sleeping. I was just like, this during the snow did, but so that's my past.
They said, we wait, we're trying to be, trying to get away.
And look, I can't go just big grab nothing.
Well,
I'm about to say,
time is
she
all.
working in hospital, we covered those.
Yeah, I remember who I gave.
That's right.
Look, as long as I remember this shit, for another for the show. I'm sorry.
One time, got
Some support for that.
Sorry.
Sorry.
For her.
Yeah,
You got some support for that.
Now,
I'm not the,
I do
master of this
the two.
you can sue me. Keep mine.
Don't talk to you there and lawyer. That's who makes it come. Hey, look, I'm a lead. I said, but nobody sees that. I'm gonna wait as long as I have.
I bet I can find it. I'll find it.
Why do you want to find something? Just nobody's making you stay.
Well, I got
I'm sorry.
something else I got to
Who's this right here? Don't walk the mountain.
I still have to see it because become binding or put in place. So that you can get the 2 months later.
I'm talking about unnecessary responses. You know? I had
You say so.
Alright, who we waiting on?
She just pulled up.
Oh, okay. Alright. Are you the police escort?
I'm like stalking one of them.
Okay. Once you go, you go.
Oh, yeah, so you gotta ask him for it.
This is my spot, man.
You don't have to move. You can sit wherever you like. As soon as she comes up, you can start it
As
off.
soon as she gets in here, I'll be like, let's go.
And I'm going. You got the agenda? She has the agenda.
You leaving?
Not completely, but I don't have to do it. All of it. Just come on, take care of the things. Multitask.
You let me out.
See, this law practice time. Or mirror.
This. Okay. Bye, girl.
I'm going downstairs. I'm just going to get some water, that's all. Refill my water cup.
I saw her. I mean, pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Washington,
Here.
Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Ms. Ferguson,
here.
Ms. Johnson, here, Ms. Isaac.
All right, we're gonna move on to the approval of the prior meeting minutes. I want y'all to just take a second to look over them. You should have a copy of that. Do we have a, motion to approve?
Approve.
All right, secondary? All right, moving on. Request to re-subdivide 9.108 AC in section 67 T7S R12E DSIG as lots C and D PA2-85 into an 8-acre tract and a 1.108 acre tract. Municipal address 605 North 15th Street, parcel owner City of Port Allen.
Any questions?
So exactly, yeah, so who's representing
This is city-owned property.
Where is it?
It's on North 15th Street. It's not, it should,
Is it,
yeah, yeah.
605 North 15th Street.
is it this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the drawing you have. So we were approached about selling this property for a residential development, and it would require subdivision to reduce the size. It's currently 9 acres. The city uses it for just like a lay-down lot. And the representative of the developer is here, and if you have any questions for him, I will turn and defer to him for those. However, it's just a request to subdivide it into the larger lot for his project and the smaller lot to remain with the city.
Okay, and so, bring me up to speed, exactly where is this home?
This is on North 15th Street,
North 15th.
directly behind the maintenance barn,
Okay.
give or take.
And they wanna make that residential?
Yes, it's currently zoned commercial.
And the city owns
The city owns it. We don't really do much with it. Like if we do a road project and we have recycled material from when they grind the roads up, we'll put that out there to use to fill for potholes and things of that nature. But there's really nothing else being done with that property at the moment.
it? Okay.
Yes. So the developer, Mr. Strange, he had previously proposed those apartments on Allendale. That did not pass, and he went back to the drawing board and discovered this property and approached us to purchase it late last year. At this point, it has to go through several other steps. We've begun the advertising process to sell it. It's currently being appraised. That appraisal should be back in the next week or two. But in order to facilitate his project, he doesn't need the entire 9-acre tract. So this is just subdividing it from 1 9-acre piece to 7.82 actually, and then the remaining portion to be maintained in city ownership.
So the appraisal is not in
Well, this is not to sell it. This is just to subdivide.
here. Okay, so
Yeah.
I guess, so we're discussing.
Subdividing.
Possibly, yes,
That's it.
but
The city is requesting the subdivision.
Okay.
We
Okay,
are.
but see, yes,
Yes,
that's
I
what.
think I
okay,
put
the
a
city-
parcel on the city
Well,
report.
I'm asking, I can ask the question. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
doing. So, the city wants to sell, and so they're requesting the appraisal. And these gentlemen are here tonight to explain what they want to do.
Correct.
Okay, well, yeah, I have no more questions for you, but I do want to speak with them.
Me too.
Okay. Mr. Strange?
David Strange with Roanoke Development. We got a little late start tonight, so I'll attempt to be brief, but I'll answer any questions that you may have. It's done.
It's just kind of project a little bit.
I'll just talk about
There
it.
you go. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? We own a development and construction company that does disaster recovery housing. We've been doing it for about 25 years. In Hurricane Gustav, we built something across the river in St. Gabriel and Naperville Parish under a CDBG grant. We've done about 50 of these, principally in Louisiana, Mississippi, in the last 25 years. As a result of hurricanes Laura, Delta, and Ida, the state of Louisiana was appropriated about $1 billion to rebuild some housing. So we applied for a grant to rebuild housing. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear
No,
me?
I was asking if they could hear.
Yes.
Okay. And so we filed 2 grant applications with the Louisiana Housing Corporation. We were successful in receiving 2 of those. The original plan was to build disaster resilient apartments over on the site on Allendale, just sort of south of 4th Street, and there were some issues with respect to the business next door. It was an environmental disposal business principally, and so we had a phase 1 environmental study done, and it came back and said that was probably not the best place for us to try to move forward with this. So we began to look for some additional land in the area, and during that investigation, we had an opportunity to meet with the incoming administration about, we were having a difficult time finding some additional land. There's obviously not a lot here. And that there was some surplus property that the city did own over on North 15th Street. And so we asked the state if we could relocate the development to that site. And in doing that, to change the nature of the development from a 68-unit apartment development to 44 houses. The state approved that request. And so we then came back to the city and said that we would like to proceed with purchasing the land, but the caveats to that would be that it be subdivided, so the city wanted to keep about 1 acre of it, and we were going to buy the remaining 8, and that it be re-subdivided from its existing commercial use to an R3. The reason that we need R3 is under the city's ordinances, we're really trying to get a PUD done, but there's a minimum acreage requirement here in the city of 20 acres to do a PUD. And since this isn't 20 acres, the R3 zoning really allows you to do everything that you could otherwise do in a PUD, to have setbacks and things like that. A lot of common green space, it's 20% green space, things of that nature that you would associate typically with a planned unit development. But since we're beneath the threshold of 20 acres, that's why we're requesting the R3 to let us build kind of what we really want to build. The houses are being built under a fortified standard and under LSU's flood-proofing standards. And so what that basically means is each of the houses in the construction has to have tie-down hardware from the roofs into the slabs so that it can withstand the impact of a hurricane. There are impact-resistant doors and windows, not just hurricane-rated, and they're true impact-rated. It's pretty expensive construction, but it's part of the grant that we have to do that. Each house comes with its own backup generator. And then for the flood proofing, even though we're nowhere near a flood zone, they all have to be built as if they were going to be flooded. So the first 3 or 4 feet in all the houses, everything is completely waterproof. It's all treated lumber instead of just your standard framing material. There's no sheetrock on the bottom 4 feet. The glue that has to be used is special glue to keep the flooring attached if it was inundated. You have to use flood-proof cabinets. That used to be either a metal cabinet or something of that nature. There's a new product out there called a Simcoe cabinet you can just take it and submerge it underwater for a year and come back and the cabinet looks brand new. So we have to incorporate all of that as part of the plan. And so in order to go forward, and lastly, I think maybe back to your question, is when we filed the grant, we had to give a cost basis, and one of the things that the cost basis we put in was for the land for $700,000. And so what we've offered to purchase the land from the city for is $700,000, irrespective of the appraisal. So if the appraisal comes back next week for $200,000, we're still paying $700,000. So it's not, we're not subject to that appraisal. Okay, go ahead. I'll stop.
Well, I don't wanna monopolize, I'll let someone else ask some questions and then I'll have some.
Okay.
When you subdivide it, you don't have anything, see how you're gonna subdivide it right now?
Yes. We had a path. I don't know if we made it to this meeting.
It's actually coming back before you for that.
Okay.
Yeah, the subdivision will come back.
Right.
So that's just a.
You can't present that until he's the actual owner.
Right.
You have to subdivide it, then sell it, then come back. I'm sorry, subdivide it
Right.
now to the 8-acre tract, and then sell it, and you come back and present that. So it'll come back before planning and zoning again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
And-
well,
Yeah,
one
go
more.
ahead.
When you subdivide, will all the lots meet the requirements of the city? You know,
Yes,
so all the lots will be
yes,
the required size.
that's correct.
Where Mellon Street coming up?
It's probably, it's just to the, north of Maryland.
Mellon Street coming right side there?
You come up Maryland, you know where the maintenance barn is?
Mm-hmm.
It's, if Maryland continued, it would run along the south boundary of this property. Like this would be Maryland
Right,
up in here somewhere.
right. That's what I see.
It's almost directly behind the maintenance barn.
You understand where Mellon Street and everything come in between?
So are these single story?
Yes.
How large were these homes?
Give or take 1,500 square feet?
And you're saying they're storm-proof homes, generate, accessorized?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what your pricing would be?
They're not for sale. They're for rent.
Under rent?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
City and not sale, they for rent.
Rent?
Yeah.
That's a problem right there. That's a problem right there.
Well, we had a market study commissioned by the state that showed that when we complete these 44 rental homes, it will satisfy less than 1% of the demand within the city limits. We sit here at midnight giving you statistics about the need for additional affordable housing. 34% of Americans spend more than 30% of their disposable income on rent. These houses are designed so that that's not an issue. You can't rent one of these houses if your rent equates to more than 30% of your income. So if you said that the rent was $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year for rent. Okay? So you have to make more than $36,000 to live there, or you're just setting yourself up for failure. That's a rule under this program.
Well, isn't that similar to what some of these corporations doing across the country? Getting communities, then they don't sell them, they buy the whole community and rent.
That's correct.
Yeah. Keep on, man.
I'm sorry.
Keep going. Proceed.
At this point, we're open for questions, or we entertain a motion.
Question from.
Anybody, I mean, you know, mainly you all, because.
Our PowerPoint was, we did at the last council meeting, that was what was on it. I didn't do that with you, actually.
Yeah.
So
But that's
this
what's on
has
it.
came before the council,
Okay, so.
or just the planning and zoning, has the
Just the
council
planning.
ever?
I'll let you
Yeah,
handle that.
okay, so procedurally, let me just address it from this perspective. Okay, so there's a state ordinance that dictates how to sell municipal property. Well, Mr. Strange needs the process to be completed by a certain time. So we have begun the process required by that ordinance to sell the property. This is a stage in that process in order to create the piece of property that we're going to sell. This doesn't change any ownership yet. It requires an ordinance to sell it. That won't be considered until the February council meeting. However, in order to meet the time delays, we had to start the process when the proposal came into City Hall, which was, what, November-ish, give or take. And a conversation took place, and I was told to begin the process. And that's where we are. It's a 9-acre tract. He only needs 8. So this proposal tonight is just to separate it into 2 pieces. That's it. The city still maintains ownership, still has to go through the rest of the state ordinance process to actually convey the property to his company. That won't be till 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now?
The February council meeting is when your recommendation will be taken up by the council to do this, because the council has to ratify this and to consider the proposal to sell.
Okay, so
Yes.
they would also have to ratify the proposal.
Correct.
So even the sale, nothing can take place until after the council sees it.
Correct.
What is the plan for the other acre that's gonna be left? Why only 8? Why not take the whole 9?
Previous mayor wanted to maintain that acre for the purposes that we currently use it for. We don't need 9 acres.
Which you
Yes,
don't.
correct.
So this establishment will be next to the city's.
No, look, when I say dumping, we're talking about dirt and rocks. I don't necessarily believe we keep doing that. I wasn't privy to that discussion or that conversation. I'm privy to this portion. My understanding is that from conversation with the former mayor, I guess the new mayor, I don't know, but that I wasn't there. I know that there were discussions amongst all the people, and the idea was to maintain ownership of the remaining 1 acre. Why? I don't know. I mean, I get it. I understand your concern, but okay.
Yeah.
So,
Mayor, were you in on any of these meetings?
I was in on the beginning when he came. I stated at council meeting. I was there on the initial beginning of the conversation. I had an issue that I had to leave out for. So that was the end of the conversation I had until the council meeting in January. So the only thing that I was privileged to was the discussions of what the homes would look like, and I made that clear to him what I saw at that time. I didn't particularly like, but the mayor did tell him about, they used that as a dumping ground from the beginning, But other than that, I didn't have a conversation with him until the council meeting in January. So that was about it. All I knew was what he was trying to do, what it looked like, which was different from what he showed at the council meeting. So they were better than the drawings that I saw at the first meeting around November. But after that, I haven't had any conversations.
Any pictures of what they're gonna look like?
I just gave them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no.
And that was the one that we had brought originally was one that we had done a couple of years ago in Covington. But like I said, we've done 50 of these and they all look different.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the more recent ones I just didn't have within the original meeting.
And so,
This is, the total cost of this is $16 million. So it will take a piece of property that has very little value, intrinsic value, the appraisal will state that we can pay $700,000 for and put $16 million worth of property on the tax records. We are a paper contractor, meaning that we don't perform our own subcontract services. So all the subcontracts would be locally let, the materials will all be locally purchased. So between that, the ad valorem taxes, sales taxes, it's a pretty big number.
So part of it's going to be upstairs, too, so.
No, sir.
Okay.
They're single story, single family.
On the pictures that I showed.
It's all part of a PowerPoint that had 1,000 different.
Just
okay,
stop.
I think they're confused, is what I'm saying. See, that's
Yeah.
what they get an idea.
You're showing it what we do. These are our single family houses. That's what
So
we do.
this is what, and the amount of the rent will be determined by how much you make. So if I make $40,000 a year, then I guess you'll have someone on site that will tell me if I'm approving or how much. So each person's rate will, amount of rent will be different. No one will have the same amount of rent.
Yes and no. There are certain of the houses, there are 44 houses, okay? Certain of them are set at this federal regulations of that thing. So we try to unit, you can do what's known as income average, right? So what happens is you take the area, you're in the Baton Rouge MSA. So the area median income for Baton Rouge is 65 grand, all right? So you start with a threshold of 60% of that number becomes the median income for the development, right? So now we're at, call it $47,000. That's the median income for someone that lives there. Under income averaging, then what you can do is, so long as the average income is 47, you can go below and above. That's a brand new thing. So for instance, if you come in to rent a house and you make $52,000, right? And it's your husband and a child, and you want a 2-bedroom house. Based upon that income number, assuming that's the only household income, $52,000, and they're going to look at a chart and they're going to say, okay, so your rent for that is going to be $870, something like that. The next person that comes in the door, they make less than $47,000, okay? So long as it's not more than a third of their total income, it stays at that 60% rate on income. That's house by house, lease by lease, year by year.
Okay, so how many homes again did you say?
44.
44 homes. And rent homes. Will you have someone there managing?
There's a full-time manager, full-time maintenance person, there's a community center, it's gated, it's fully perimeter fenced, we built an 8-foot fence around the part that the city's keeping. There's a private access drive that will go from North 15 into the city, North 15 into the development, that will run parallel to the acre that the city's keeping. There's 20% green space. The the maintenance person and manager will both preferably live on site. They'll certainly live here in town. Then we have a third-party management company that we use that manages tens of thousands of these type of housing developments around the country.
So again, studies on traffic, like what we had with the last, what does that look like? 44 homes. You may have 3 or 4 people living in that home, what you just said, depending on the income. What are we looking at with,
So the traffic count is minimal because we have some one-bedroom homes, which we're going to have the same infrastructure costs, the same lots, the same everything, is with the gentlemen that are coming behind me, right? There's no way they can build a one-bedroom house on a lot. They've got $60,000 the amount. They got to build 3 and 4 bedroom houses. We have to build one-bedroom houses because it's part of the grant. We have to build 2-bedroom houses and some 3-bedroom houses. So therefore, you have a 1-bedroom house typically going to be occupied, by the way. 15% of the houses are full ADA compliant, so that's light, sensory, everything. So we will have probably at least 15%, if not more, elderly tenants. So that's a 1-vehicle household. And then on the 2s and 3s.
and that's by law, you have to have a certain amount of elderly
Yes.
people in there?
Yes.
How do you know that you will have that? How do we know that you'll have that percentage of elderly people that will be able to, that will apply, want to stay there? How will you meet that number?
Because we're satisfying 1% of the demand. Our wait list will be, give or take, 1,000 people within 90 days of offering this to them.
And that's what you've experienced in the past?
A million times. Yes, sir. And there's a market study that says that. Gabriel, 2015. I've got condos that we built in New Roads, call it 2018. I got 5 of these in Alexandria.
So I'm just trying to get an idea. So you built some in New Roads?
Mhm.
Where are those?
It's called Curette Street. Curet. That's all I remember.
So let me just make a suggestion, if I may.
Go ahead.
We have to follow a process,
Right.
and this has to come back again for all the questions you're asking now. It has to. So we kind of get into the weeds. What you do tonight doesn't guarantee his project gets built. Tonight, we're just creating 2 lots.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
All of this has to come back again to planning and zoning to approve the layout. So, just to kind of speed it up a little bit and say, hey, that gives you a lot of time to have these conversations outside the scope of a meeting where you can get, I guess, more detail. So at this point, we're not changing, property's not this.
Yeah, I would say that, the issue this evening is whether or not the proposed subdivision conforms to the city ordinance with respect to not landlocking something, leaving appropriate ingress, egress, if the 2 remaining parcels meet the standards of dimensionally requirements under the city ordinances, and then the companion motion that would obviously be behind this is whether or not rezoning from C2 to R3 of the 8-acre parcel is consistent with the character of that neighborhood, which on the backside of it is a mobile home park, and across the street from it is an apartment complex. So it is a primarily residential area.
And the apartment complex we're talking about is, trying to get a picture in my mind.
Is that nursing home?
Oh, okay.
Okay. And so then, assuming that we will, that this recommendation is made to subdivide the property, and then rezone. Then we would go to the city council. The city council, we would have to, say, based upon this recommendation, we'd like for an ordinance for that to happen. And then at that point in time, assuming that the city council approves that, we have to wait, finish the appraisal, finish that process, get the title and everything done. We're not planning on closing this till June, okay? Then, and we can't close until we have the building permits. So then what would happen is we would have an agreement that once the city will sell you this property for $700,000. We do agree to subdivide it, and we do agree to change the zoning to R3. Okay, great. So then I get with my architect and my engineer, and we go develop a full set of plans. That will be a subdivision layout, it will be impact studies, water, sewer, the whole 9 yards. The same thing with any other subdivision. The architect will go draw 44 sets of house plans, which will get 44 building permits on. So the planning portion of that will then come back to this organization to say whether or not our lot dimensions, do those meet the requirements of R3? Do our water and sewer tie-ins adhere to the city standards? So it's just a multifaceted process that doesn't really end until June.
Well, the only issue I have with it, I have 2 or 3 issues with it. One of them is that people that would be moving in there and you would be renting to, they would never own their own property. And we already have enough area, apartments and rental property in that area. We have enough already in that area. So I would suggest that if you go back and find a way that where these people can own their own property instead of you owning that land and all of that for years and years and years, and these people have never owned their own property. So you would just be milking them and they would never own their own property. So I would suggest, my own opinion, if you want to build something there, build something where it's going to benefit the people, not benefit you.
Yeah, so you said you had another comment?
It's not going to benefit the people. It's going to benefit you making money.
There have been numerous.
Your company making money.
There have been numerous studies, the most recent of which was a 2022 study by Harvard.
I can't hear you.
A study done by Harvard University that says this is the #1 mechanism in place in the United States today to foster home ownership.
Well,
Period.
just because it's the #1 in the United States, things that's going on in the United States right now is not right. Just because it's the #1, it's the #1 in milking the people.
Sir, these are $350,000 houses that someone can live in for $700 a month to save their money, to one day be able to make a down payment to go buy one of the nice homes that these gentlemen are bringing. That is the only possible way someone that makes $40,000 a year can
understand.
So I respectfully disagree with you.
Understand what you're saying. And I expect you to disagree because you're making money. Your company making money. I expect you to disagree.
I suspect you do as well.
And, but what I am saying is that these people would never own their own property.
That is
And
incorrect.
we have enough rental property in the area.
That's right.
It's just like,
And I looked before I walked
this
in
is
this
not
room.
apartments.
You
You
know what
tell
the-
me, wait a minute, this is not apartments. And you telling me that it's gonna be home. Yes, it's gonna be home for rent, just like apartments. All you're doing is dividing it up and giving people, you got 3-bedroom houses, right side of 1-bedroom house, or 2-bedroom house. So you're gonna have all kind of houses in that area.
Absolutely.
Would bring down the people that even rent it, bring down their value.
That's not how it works.
So,
And so, and I look, before I
if
came
you
in,
could
so
provide some way where you would build homes.
that's not the proposal that's before us.
Okay.
And I looked, so you know what the median age of a rental house is in Port Allen? It was built in 1968. what the utility bills will be associated with a house built in 1968 compared to an Energy Star house built in 2025?
I still understand you and I understand what you're doing, but I still hold ground to what I said. This is my people you're talking about, and I don't agree with you coming here trying to make money off of it. And that's not, I don't agree with that at all. So, you know.
I appreciate your statement.
I have a question. So did the rent drop?
Thank you.
Over.
Not what you said to me, you said 12 months for one bedroom, because I got pulled out because I argued with you. So you better check your video. Where's Ellie? Let him play it back. Ellie.
Market rent, serious.
So we're all liars over here, because we all heard the same thing, including the mayor. Including the mayor.
Market rent for this market, according to that document, which I'm happy to give you a copy of, is $1,100 for one bedroom.
You're not gonna get that here?
Ma'am, don't interrupt me. My rents are $793 right now.
That is not what you said.
The
That
market,
is
the
not what
market
you
rent in that
said.
study for a two-bedroom house in this market is $1,300. Our rent is $936. The market rent for a three-bedroom house is $1,500. Ours is $1,478.
I think that's
That
why you got
is
some
not
of the
what you
pushback,
said.
because that's not the figures that you gave.
That is not what you said.
So I think that's why some of the pushback was received.
Isn't that
Okay.
That is not what you said, sir,
Okay.
because I argued
Okay.
with you.
Okay, so look, I was at that meeting, and some of the figures are somewhat different, but he did give a range. But here's the thing, that's not what we're here for tonight. You have a lot of time between now and then to investigate those particular issues. But I just want to say one thing. Same thing I said that at the last meeting. I don't have an opinion. I don't have a vote. What I do know is that the type of grant funding that he has, it's very specific to the point of where the property can be built. And so I only say that to say that it is my understanding that he came with the apartments, and that wasn't acceptable. Now he's coming with homes, and now that seems to be an issue. But he tried to move this entire development to a whole nother parish. And the funding agency shot it down. They wanted it in West Baton Rouge. West Baton Rouge has need. Whether you agree with it or not, the need is here. And so I don't think the government is going to be financing $9 million of an investment if they don't think the numbers are going to work. Because his income is what pays back the other portion. And keep in mind that $9 million is just a portion of the development. He's putting about $6-7 million of his own money into this project. And all I'm saying is that all of this will come back before the council and the planning and zoning commission at a later date.
And
But I can assure you that the site selection and the market studies have all been taken into consideration for his grant application. So you got to talk to the state and other parties if you want better understanding of why they want it here. Because some things that everybody can't answer every question. Okay? So, and that's all I got to say about it. So,
I understand that. I just think it's the consistency of what what you said, because I think that's why a lot of the pushback was, because she did make reference that she can rent something for 9 something or whatever the actual figure was, but the amount that you said was higher than $700.
I recall saying the market rent was $1,100. That was the recollection of my statement, which is true.
I got a big issue with you paying $700,000 for a piece of property that probably wouldn't have raised at $150,000. I got a big issue with that, because that's my tax dollars. okay? I'm sorry, but to pay that kind of money is legal bribery in my book. You gonna pay that kind of money for a piece of property that doesn't even appraise for half? Somebody gotta make that money up,
That's why
and I
I said
have a
that.
big issue with that.
So we just need to
A
put
big
it on
issue.
the
Yes.
subdivision.
So that people that are
Not as that
people that are not
far.
as well off as you have a nice place to live, man.
It doesn't make any difference if y'all pay taxes. That's what are you saying? There's an issue with government spending right now, and you're sitting here saying you're gonna pay $700,000 for a $200,000 piece of property.
I make a motion.
Sorry.
I have a,
It's a public meeting, you have to recognize.
I remember Mr. Strange. This is the same developer that, came to the city and was proposing the apartment complex. And the issues we had at the time was infrastructure, public safety, and it was some traffic issues. Well, I wasn't opposed of just having the apartment, it was because of these factors and variables with the city. Now, this property it belongs to the city. We have been needing a wastewater treatment facility for a very long time. This is one of the reasons why we cannot man the demand of developments. We had, this developer came in, and I appreciate, what y'all done. They had to bring in their own sewer system. Because we could not man the demands of the project there.
Right.
But if we have land, why sell our assets? To try and gain money, to use the money, to try and find more land that we may not find because we haven't found it in all this time. We've had land before that was sold years ago under some previous administration. But that land was for a wastewater treatment facility. And it was sold. And since then, we have had a hard time trying to secure land. But this land has been owned by the city of Port Allen since 1992. Why haven't this land been considered? Even before he came, a year or two ago, for our waste treatment facility. I understand that, hey, the land may not be ideal for it, but as a taxpayer, as a citizen, as a former councilman, I would love to see that documented. I would like to know what that land, how do we acquire the land? I think that's very important before we start rezoning, like how did Port Allen acquire the land, and just get some history about the land. Appraising is one thing, but this land was a landfill at one time. Not knowing what may be under the land, or taking some type of using environmentalists to survey the land, to take some soil samples, to just know about this land, and to know that we cannot utilize our own land for our own purpose. And then maybe go back and revisit the idea of the apartment complex with the Belanger family, because now we have the infrastructure, and our police department to me, it's moving in a great direction. The time he came in, we had 5 officers manning the whole city. But I think we're moving into, having some progressive change that's taking place. And I like the direction that the city is going in. So if we could get a 2-for-1, I think that'll be better. We could get a facility, wastewater treatment facility, and entertain his development project in the area that he was looking at doing it the previous time. Because it wasn't the issue with the apartments, it was the issue of the infrastructure, the public safety, and the traffic. But if we could, we got two out of the 3, I think it's still enough to entertain that, go back and revisit.
The That original site we have determined is environmentally contaminated, so that's not an option for us. The second thing is and we will have to do an environmental study before we do anything going forward. Again, there's multiple steps in this process. And so if we get an environmental study on this, it says we can't use it, we'll try again. And then based upon the conversations I've been privy to, this current site we're talking about is not suitable for wastewater treatment. I mean, it's next door to a nursing. Just would be, so.
Well, the area is limited residential, and I did speak to Mr. Francois Belanger today, and he said that he would still be interested, and he never said anything about environmental study that said he couldn't do it. He said he would be interested, but he could not do it because I asked him about the houses. He said he could not do the houses because you only needed 4 acres of land, but he never said anything about any other reason.
We did the same thing.
Call for
All
a
right.
motion.
Yeah. Can I call for a motion?
I make a motion that we, vote to subdivide this parcel of land.
Second.
You got a motion by
Ms. Johnson.
Ms. Johnson and a second
I'm
by
sorry.
Mr. Washington.
Sorry.
Call for a roll call.
We get a roll call?
Mr. Anderson?
No.
Ms. Johnson?
No.
Ms. Ferguson?
No.
Mr. Washington?
No.
Thank you. That will make the second motion moot.
Item 5. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. So now,
Yes, you just skip to number 6.
All right, moving on. Request to approve final plat Westview Crossing, first filing phase 3, lots 131 through 193. Previously approved, pre-construction, construction now complete.
Make sure everybody got it.
I think this, she doesn't know.
Yeah, I got it.
That's a fresh one, that's today.
Okay.
That was for the other guy. Yeah, it is clear, my last one. Yeah, it is.
I made good on mine.
Commission members, I'm Jim Tatum, I'm with Tatum Engineering, representing Dennis Carlin and the Westview Crossing Development Group. We're in here tonight asking for approval of the Phase 3, our third plat, and Westview Crossing subdivision. It's lots 131 through 193. I'll show you on the overall development plan. It's actually for one street right in here called Sherry's Way. And the actual plat for that portion is right in here on a little bigger scale. It's the same layout, and this is the preliminary plat that we came to the commission back in June of last year. We've made some revisions, and we're entirely consistent with our revised plat. The work is completed, the roads are built, we've had the final inspection, we're down to the fine points of the final inspection. To wrap all that up, some reports and testing lab reports, so forth, have to be produced, and we've got all that done. So tonight, we're just asking for approval of the preliminary plat. We won't ask for signatures and to finalize it until we get all the items taken care of. And we're very, very close. So be glad to answer any questions or address any concerns you may have.
Wasn't that zone commercial in the beginning?
Up in the front, yes, sir.
Right. That's why I'm kind of glad y'all took it over and made $100 subdivision or turnaround, because that could have been gas stations or hotels or anything right behind these people, houses that they just built, new houses that they just built. So I'm glad y'all took that over and made that, livable, because it wouldn't have been livable behind commercial stuff. So, I think that's a good deal. So, in my opinion, I think they've done a good job, and I'm all for it.
Right, thank you.
I don't know about anybody else, but
We're trying. One thing to let you know is we're about to start widening of Court Street.
what's
Wait,
that?
say that again?
Wait,
The widening of Court Street. We're gonna put a turn lane that's
to go into the.
All right,
and the acceleration, deceleration lane is going into both of them.
yeah, right. That's good.
The turning lanes will be from both, well, no, just from, okay,
The second entrance is opening.
both directions,
Both
huh?
directions.
Okay, good.
That's $1
All right.
million worth of turn
Oh,
$1
good.
million per lane.
Literally $1 million. $1,022,000.
Thank you very
When, when this happens, the entrance is gonna be demolished, and it like, the entrances, and then it causes possible traffic.
Yeah.
Essentially. So, when you see it all torn down, don't get all upset, we're gonna put up another entrance, and we're gonna redo it, but we gotta get the turn lanes built first.
Okay.
But that should hopefully start here in the next week.
Very soon. In fact, I spoke with DOTD today. We're waiting on one guy's signature in West Baton Rouge Parish, and once that's,
Only question I have, concern, are y'all gonna be using the same kind of material that you use on the other houses? I'm talking such as the siding. You know, the siding is damaged real easy. So my suggestion is to try to find another type of siding. Because that siding, when you weed around it or do anything that touches it, it damages it. And I noticed when the wind was blowing real hard, some of it is, kind of coming loose. But other than that, everything else I see is pretty good. That's my suggestion on the side.
Look it up, stop by and talk to you, show them what it's doing, get the bill.
What's that?
To see if they can do anything different or whatever. I'll be talking.
He said he's gonna get with the builder to see if they can do anything.
Well, I might come by and see it, let you show me. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure the homes have warranties, correct?
Oh,
They're
yes,
brand new
of course.
homes. They have warranties that will take care of that. And so you say that the project that you're looking to come about with Court Street will take place in the upcoming months, because I'm more than sure everybody will get phone calls.
Yes,
See,
that's all I'm trying to tell y'all beforehand. It's just like, tears it up, everybody's screaming.
So will that be, is that something that will be publicized, Lance, or anyone can answer that question? Will that go out, will the parish, the city, so that the residents will know about it?
Prior to the road.
Yeah, prior to
That's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a very,
It's a main.
I mean, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing,
big
yeah.
deal. It's a big deal because of the
Of
fact that.
rerouting people the way they get around.
We better put a sign up. Out there on Court Street and by the entrance,
Okay.
or something like that, would be helpful, I
Yeah,
think.
just to let people know what's going on.
Does DOT require y'all to do any notices?
no, I do not. So there's
And
no.
you said you're waiting on the
We have
city.
no detour requirements, so traffic will be maintained throughout the duration of the project. Hopefully it slows some people down, because that's a racetrack out there right now. And, it's kind of a double-edged sword here, in that DOTD tells us you have to do this to make these improvements. And then you make the improvements, and it makes people drive faster. So, we prefer not to do them, but that wasn't an option.
I'll try to do something to get this installed out there.
If you can get us something, we can probably post it on our website and our city Facebook page.
Yeah, that'd be good. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the final plat Westover Crossing?
I'll leave them with.
And I'll say,
All right, Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Ferguson,
yes.
Mr. Washington.
Yes. Unanimous. We like you.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Any other announcements?
Mayor, I don't have any.
Yeah.
All right. No correspondence. All right, this meeting is adjourned.